get high comfort.
I know this happens a lot. We just need to live with it. So welcome, dear family. Thank you once again for joining us. This is another sweet evening. As you can see, the house is full. So I'm heavily loaded tonight. So what is the importance of owning our own payment processor? Red, welcome.
How you doing, Comfort? Jeffrey, nice to see you, my friend. And Andy Burks, good to be here once again. Hot topic, isn't it? Payment processors. Everybody wants to know about it at the moment. And Comfort asked myself and Jeffrey to come on to try and explain a little bit more to you guys, really the ins and outs of what payment processors are, why it is important for us to have it in-house, and our best guesstimate of what routes the company might be going on at the moment. And before we start, this is our four's opinion here, what we are going to talk about now. This is nothing from corporate. This is not been told to us or anything like this. This is our best guesstimate that we can give you guys about payment processors and maybe routes that they are looking at. So what is a payment processor? Okay, a payment processor is a funny thing, really. It is a PSP, a payment service provider, is the more technical word for it, but really this is a third-party company that allows businesses to accept electronic payments such as credit cards, debit cards, etc. And a PSP acts as an intermediary between those that make the payments, i.e. the consumer, and those who accept them, i.e. the company or the retailer. They will often provide merchant services alongside the acceptance of payments as well, and act as a payment gateway or payment processor for e-commerce and actually bricks and mortars as well, or shopping or anything that you already know right now. They also might offer other things, risk management, etc., currency exchanges, all these types of things as well. PSPs establish technical connections with acquiring banks and card networks, but also enabling merchants to accept different payment methods without the need to partner with any particular banks. So what does all that mean? Before we get going on to other bits in layman's terms, basically, a payment processor is not necessarily a bank. Okay, it's basically a clearing room. It is a third-party intermediary that allows somebody to pay for something, and they will process that money and then send it forward to the reciprocant. Okay, obviously there's a charge for it. This is why they're in the business, because they will put normally card fees on that. But there's also another side to payment processors as well. That is, as we all know, the Visa and MasterCard mark. Why is that such an important deal? When you see we accept Visa, we accept MasterCard or Amex on a sign or through anything you buy online, it's security, guys. To have that validation as a payment processor, PSP, to accept these types of payments, whether it be Visa, MasterCard, Amex or others, Diners Club, etc., they have to be certified. They have to be legally verified by Visa, by MasterCard or Amex that they are legitimate in exactly what they are doing. And that is worldwide, okay, across the globe. And this gives confidence not only to the customer, but also to the person that is receiving as well. It all adds to what a consumer is looking for when they are making a payment, whether it be online or whether it be in another scenario. Also, payment service provider fees are typically charged in one or two ways: as a percentage of a transaction or a fixed cost. Now, many of you who have activated your account by purchasing OCONNECT would have seen this already. It would have come up as a extra on top of it, and this is the card provider charging a fee for that service. It fluctuates to do mainly to do with currency exchanges, how you're paying, etc., and also whereabouts in the globe that you are. Now then, we are just talking about what it is at the moment. We're going to go and with myself and Jeffrey down different routes as well, and we're going to talk about other things and maybe have a bit of a chat about it. But I think it's important at this stage for everybody to know what exactly a payment processor is, how it operates, and what it does. So I've talked about the fees, okay, and all the rest of it. Okay, with security, okay, each merchant remains responsible for his actions and must accordingly ensure that the selected provider observes the guidelines which in any country that they are in. They need to be compliance with the PCI and DSS guidelines, okay, and 4 levels of PCI compliance that must be respected by the PSB depending on the volume of transactions, as well as the details about the level of risk assessed by payment brands, and the payment service provider has to follow these high standards. Why am I telling you this, and why is this very, very important to OnPassive and our scenario that we have seen going on with our payment processors? Okay, the levels which I was talking to you just a minute about data protection and safeguards, security, and all the rest of it that payment processors have to adhere to are in 4 levels. I've just told you that. The first level is over 6 million transactions annually. The second level is between 1 and 6 million transactions annually. The third level is 20,000 to 1 million transactions annually. And the last one is less than 20,000 transactions annually. This is important because when you're a new company, you actually don't know how many transactions that you are going to be doing on an annual basis. Yes, you can have best guesstimates. Yes, you think it might be that or it might not be that, but you have to tell that payment processor what you believe is going to be your annual transactions that you think are going to process through this payment gateway. Remember, it is a third party. This is not in-house, and we are going to talk about going down the in-house route in a moment. So my understanding is that in those early days, we, as when I say we, OnPassive had a backwards and forwards. They had meetings with the payment processor that had been using for a very long time. They said, listen, we are going to be going live with our first product on the 1st of September. We are expecting a big volume. Are you okay with this? We're expecting this amount of volume, whatever it may be, and with this many transactions. They were way off the mark. They were not expecting to have the influx that they had within a 24 or 48 hour period, and lights and whistles were going off all over the place, okay, because merchants have safeguards. They have parameters that they have to work between to stop fraudulent transactions and money laundering and all the blah-de-blahs that go on behind the scenes as far as money is concerned. That was the first hurdle that we came across. We then sorted out a second merchant, and unfortunately that second merchant was affiliated with the first merchant, and so we ended up having the same problems once again, unbeknown to OnPassive. And then there was that long period of time until we moved up to Christmas, and we have managed to sort out lots of smaller options as far as merchanting is concerned. But that's not actually the big goal. The big goal at the moment for OnPassive is obviously to have a facilitated payment service provider that can do the job of money going into the company but more importantly, money coming out of the company. So where is the sticking point at the moment as far as this is concerned? It goes really, in my opinion, back to the promise of our CEO, Ashmi Farah. Why is that a big deal? Because he promised that we are going to be a global business in every single country, which means that the payment provider that we have or use has to be able to accept payments from every single country in the globe, unless there's sanctions or whatever that are out of OnPassive's control, obviously. But more importantly, to be able to pay into these people's bank accounts in their own currency. This is the biggest sticking point that we have at the moment. And I do believe we have workarounds at the moment, and we'll probably get more information of how this is all going to go. But it really has supercharged and made us as a company look at the alternative. And what is that alternative? And that's to have it in-house. This has always been one of the pillars of what Ashmi Farah has said to owning the internet. We know to have your own ecosystem, single sign-on with all the products and services within that one house is one of them. To have your own data centers where you are hosting your own products and services, so you're not outsourcing. The other one is to have your own domain name registrar, plus hosting of websites within it on your own data center. And the last one is to have your own payment gateway so that you can accept payments and also pay out payments all in-house. So let's go down the in-house route at the moment. What do we think that the route of the company is going? There's two ways that they could be going at the moment. One is build your own. Okay, from scratch, build it. We have the technical know-how. You can apply for the licenses. It takes time. You can build whatever you like and it will be all yours. This takes a lot of time, but more importantly, an absolute boatload of money. Okay, just get onto Google and look at how much it costs to actually put one of these up. The more realistic route that they are probably going down is you can buy a licensed merchant, okay, for your own use that is cloud hosted. Why is that probably, in my opinion, the route they're going down? Because you actually own that software in your own name. We are hosting it on our own data centers and we have full control over it, but we are paying a licensing fee to another company to use their software and all the rest of it. They don't have any involvement as a third-party merchant does right at this moment for processing the card payments in and out, because we are doing that and we are setting those parameters. We are basically having it whitelisted under the OnPassive brand, paying whatever the fee may be to be able to use it. So this, I think, is, for me, the whole reason why that does not want us to go out of pocket if we have activated our accounts again. He said this many times before. There is no point in releasing any other products if money is only going one way, and that is to the company. He doesn't want that to happen. He wants to be able to have it a two-way street. This means you can pay for a product, people make commissions, you can withdraw it, excuse me, and it goes either into your bank account or it goes into crypto wallets if that is your choice. If it was only crypto, guys, this would be done and dusted ages ago, okay, because it's so easy to be able to transfer money digitally. And I do believe, excuse me, that this is going to be part of the process of the new gateway system, by the way. Again, me guessing. but I'm sure that it will all come out in the wash. And I think my opinion is we are getting very, very close. So I'm looking forward to hearing updates from corporate to see where we're at. But in my opinion, this is what's been happening. And I hope that the brief explanation about merchants, payment processors, gateways, etc., brought a little bit of information to the table. Back to you, Comfort.
Thank you, Red. Sorry, in the first place, thank you so much for the brief explanation. That was powerful as usual. We appreciate you. And of course, welcome, Mr. Jeffrey Moloch. And let's see what you have to do after Red.
Hey, man, I loved it. I absolutely loved it, Red. Thank you so very much. That information that you put out was spot on. I love it. Good to see you as well, Red and Andy, and absolutely, as usual, Comfort. Man, you are my queen of intellect, and I love this platform. So thank you. Now, Red, you just talked about excuse me, payment processing, and what I want to do is drill down a little bit and take the other leg of that, because you did such a wonderful job with the payment processing. I want to talk a little bit then about the payment gateway, what it is, how it goes through the whole 9 yards. Now, the payment gateway and the payment processor are actually two separate components in the payment ecosystem, which you mentioned. The payment gateway collects and verifies customers' credit card information. The payment process banks to transfer funds and all that stuff. So having said that, let's talk a little bit about the payment gateways, and we can look at a payment gateway kind of like the online equivalent to a physical point of sale terminal, like you might see in Walmart or some other place, that verifies card information. And once verified, that payment processor takes over to make the transfer of the money actually happen. Now, OnPassive has been building, as we all know, some very, very good expertise in AI. Mr. Mufara actually talks about onboarding an AI team, which to me is outstanding. So, I mean, it's really kind of cool because they have expertise in AI and data analytics and cloud computing and stuff, which is what we need. Now, even grander than that, to do what we want to do, or I hope that we do, we've got to create a payment gateway infrastructure. And to do this, along with the expertise that we're bringing on board or already have, especially with the innovation labs and everything they've got going on, we're going to need servers, which you talked about in our data centers. And this means that we're going to have to settle on, and this isn't just us, this is anybody that wants to set a gateway payment system up or a gateway up to do whatever it is that you want to do. What I'm trying to do is give you an understanding of what's involved with it so that you'll be like, wow, they really have their work cut out for them. So we need, when creating a gateway, right, we've got to do the infrastructure. To do this, we're going to need servers. That means we're going to have to, as you had alluded to, talk about security and stuff, right? We're going to need what's called an appropriate technology stack. And a stack just is a group of technologies or collection of technologies that are used to develop a website or a program or an app or something like that. And within this, there's also what's called a payments stack. And that's a collection of software specifically for finances. It's to build financial software. Of course, all this means that we're going to need third-party auditing capability and maintenance for the data centers, or at least the ones that are associated with the gateway. And we also, as you had alluded to, we're going to need security, specifically making sure that our own encryption is compliant. And generally, when you talk about compliance, you're talking about, you had mentioned PCI. They've got the PCI data. Actually, it's a security standard that we have to get engaged with and learn or get accredited by. And apart from the auditing of these standards, you've also got to get some certifications. And Mr. Mufaris talked about us getting certifications, and we're on that trek, so to speak. One of them, a big one, is what's called 3DS certification. It's from EMV. It's Europe, MasterCard, Visa. This is an international certification that's required for anybody that's going to be processing bank cards that use a chip. And that's the standard these days. So everybody's got to do it. Now, once all these things are in tow, now we've got to integrate what we call the payment processing networks. As you had indicated, the big four are Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. Obviously, there are more. And everything that I've mentioned to date so far, like you had said, is all in-house. This is what OnPassive would have to do within the four corporate walls of OnPassive. Now, when you step outside to the real world, then we're also going to have to develop strategic partnerships with fintech, which is, it's just a term that combines two words, financials and technology. And it basically is the use of technology to automate financial services and process, make them better. This means that we're going to have to, like you said, form alliances with banks and payment networks and actual fintech companies so that we can expand our capabilities as well as our reach. And in doing this, we actually develop the platform, meaning that we have to create a scalable, secure, and compliant platform that supports various payment methods. Now, once all this is done, that's when we go after the integration and certifications that you had actually mentioned earlier, like the PCI DSS, the standards, security standards. And that's not as easy as it might sound. PCI DSS stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. It's a set of security standards that helps protect cardholder data and covers four main areas: cardholder data protection, access control measures, security network systems, and encrypted data transmissions. So it is very, very comprehensive. And like a lot of things that Mr. Mufar is doing and that we are doing in OnPassive, it is not a small feat. Now, once all these things are in place, we've got to connect all that to our global business net by entering specific geographies. And as you had said, I mean, we are all over the place with multi-cultures and multi-currencies. So we got to get into those places and adapt to local regulations, currencies, and payment methods. So, I mean, that's it, kind of the whole thing in a nutshell. The rest is pretty much leveraging AI and data analytics, and to make sure that we're continuing our innovations, right? Which is to say that we use data and analytics to detect fraud and optimize the transactions, provide insights to merchants, yada, 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 yada. And I'll stop right there and we'll open it all up. Thank you.
Fantastic, Jeffrey. Fantastic.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Can I add a few?
So, Mr. Burks, welcome.
Hi, guys. Excellent. Both of you have got a lot of knowledge in this. There is actually two easier ways that they could go, or three if you include setting up a bank of their own. But there is a system whereby you become the master merchant. It's like a white label product, so everything is done for you, but they are able to then utilize the licensing capabilities that the agent themselves hold. Now, Red mentioned this. We've got several countries that have embargoes, including Iraq, Russia, China, etc. And there are very few companies that have the banking licenses or the licenses to be able to transfer money in and out. So as you quite rightly pointed out, Red, the card services then tend to be a little bit easier to deal with. So there are capabilities for companies to be given what they call a master merchant agency. In other words, they have full capability to be able to transfer money around the globe. Now, the issue is you still have the embargoes with certain companies, but with certain master merchants, you don't have that issue. What you've got to also consider is that Visa and MasterCard are no longer accepted in Russia, for instance. Yeah, again, because of the embargo. So you have to find a different way to be able to transfer money across for them to be able to use. There's no point in putting on a Visa card if you can't go and use your Visa card in Russia. Doesn't make sense. So there has to be another way. So, you know, we have a lot of customers and early birds from Russia, within Russia. I've got a couple of guys that I know that are actually Brits that live there. And they're finding difficulty, or have had difficulty, making the payment, for instance, to be able to pay for OCONNECT. So that's one system, or one way of doing it, a master merchant agency with everything provided and total control of the system at the same time. The other one is a simple banking license of your own. Now, if you set it up within, for instance, within a BRICS country like Dubai is now, then you no longer have the issue with making payments to certain countries, because their embargoes don't apply within a, you know, you got Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Okay, well, Russia and China are there for a start. Dubai already does business with the likes of Iraq and Iran. They're not told to do things by the West. They do what they want to. So a banking license within Dubai covers an awful lot of issues. But there is one other, and that is a master banking agency. Now, what it means is that you could open bank accounts for every single person or customer within another organization, but OnPassive controls everything. Yeah. So they would control the income and outgoing of those. So for all affiliates, for instance, they could have 1 million accounts for all of the affiliates. Money could go in and out of those accounts, and you just simply transfer from one account to another. That makes life easy as well, and at minimal cost. So there are a couple of other alternatives or other possibilities within the sphere, but like Red said, the simplest and easiest that I would guess would be a master merchant agency, where all of the software is provided for them. They have the capability to be able to do card services for certain countries and transactions outside the norm for certain countries that have issues. Excuse me, I've got the same problem as Red. That to me would make sense. So yeah, lots of options for us and lots of possibilities. You know, as I've said before, I have some very good connections in the industry that actually do these type of things, from forex trading to merchant services to providing, you know, white label capabilities. So let's see what happens. I think one of the routes that the company might go down is to set up their own banking facility and you know, set up a bank. A banking license generally takes about 14 months to acquire, but with the connections that they have in Dubai, I wouldn't have seen that as a problem.
But also, Andy, funny you should mention about going down the banking system. I mean, the guys from the UK, we remember this, and actually Virgin Money's all over the news at the moment because they're getting bought out by Nationwide, I believe, as we speak. But if you can remember back in the early days before Virgin Money, they actually came out with their own charge card, if you remember it. That's how they first started on their banking journey. It was one of the very first online banking services, along with what was that black one? Something Direct, First Direct. Remember them?
First Direct, yeah.
When they came on, both of those, when they first came on, weren't banks. They were just online merchants that issued their own cards, and people loaded them up and they used them. I personally believe that will be, for us, our first stage. So whatever the license they need to do that bit is, I believe, is going to be the first part. Why? Because we've got our own accounts within the ecosystem, OWallet, where there is funds already there. If you have made commissions, all you do then is get issued with a card from OMoney or whatever you want to call, whatever it's going to be called. And it will have the OnPassive logo on it. It's going to be backed by Visa, either Visa, MasterCard, whichever they choose, or maybe even both, but probably one or the other. And we will be able to then transfer funds, load up your card and go and spend it. And then that gives time for them to carry on down the route to get their real banking license, where we become a bank. And that's exactly what Virgin Money did in the early days. They facilitated the need online for people to buy everything off Virgin for the trains in those days, when they had the trains in the UK and flights, etc., all the rest of it, by using the cards. And I'm kind of guessing that might be our first thing that we see along there. Again, it's me guessing. I'm not being told this, so don't go, oh, Red said we're getting cards to come in and we're going to be... No. We're just talking amongst ourselves here.
Let me ask you a question, Red. Let me ask you a question, Andy, because it sounds like, and I agree, that the three of us are thinking that it would be good to have an interim process so that we can move forward. And then in the background, we're running a major fix and a long-term, long game, which I personally hope that it is a payment gateway and being our own processor and perhaps even our own bank. And that's because you really take the control of other people out of your business. And we've been burned by that before. And Mr. Mufareh is not an advocate of that kind of, he doesn't like being in the position where people can dictate what our company business is or does. So I think too, you're absolutely right, that we're going to come up with some kind of an interim system that's going to allow us to do the payments, take money in, do those things. And somewhere down the road, now, Andy, you said it took 14 months or something like that to get the licensing and the accreditations or certificate for whatever for a bank. Then it may be a year and a half down the road where you actually switch out and do everything they want to do while we're still running the interim system. So what do you guys think about that?
But I mean, also, Jeffrey, on the back of what Andy was saying, is that we've got some amazing connections now in Dubai. You know, we've got the police. The government of Dubai. They know who we are. These guys are certainly going to certify who we are. They're going to give the right accreditations for us, that we are what we're trying to do and achieve and all the rest of it. So and don't forget as well is that banks within Dubai aren't like European banks. They do business, and Andy knows this, they do business a little bit differently, which makes life a little bit easier, to say the least. And I'm sure that that's in big discussions at the moment with what is going on. But I think, like you said, Jeffrey, we're all on the same page here, is that we know that the company is working full steam ahead in the background at the moment to get a fix for this. And again, the fix has to be, even if it's an interim fix, has to be sustainable. There's no point in opening the gates again if it's going to shut again in 2 weeks' time.
Right.
Farah knows this. The company know this. Yes, Andy, go on.
Yeah, it's imperative that people understand this is hearsay and guesstimation at the moment, because what obviously has happened in the past and part of the problems that have occurred are people have taken information out and gone, this is what's going to happen, and then all hell breaks loose. We're not saying any of that, guys. So please don't take it as such. This is just our guesstimate as to what could be coming very shortly or in the future.
I can tell you what's not, noted. What ain't hearsay. You want to know what that is?
Well, he has made it very clear in the past that he wanted to make sure everything was in the house. So at some point in the future, I'm sure that we will have this sort of facility. But which one? That's the guess at the moment.
Yeah, but I was just kind of getting at the fact that regardless of what is going on, we know that it's going on, and Mr. Mufareh and the teams are more than capable of pulling this thing out for the long game. And he's got the will and the resources and the desire,
absolutely.
and we can count on that. I mean, that's a take it to the bank kind of a thing. We know that he stands up and stands for that kind of ethic and integrity. So I'm loving life. I love where we're at, and keep going, brother.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Andy, I just want to quickly thank you guys. I think the discussion is moving really well, guys. Thank you for joining in with your comments, and why not go ahead and share. This is very powerful, useful information given to us for free. So Andy, I just want to take you back. You might have said it, maybe you're repeating now for emphasis and for slow learners like myself. So I just want to understand, whatever Ash is doing now, do you mean that what he's doing, whether in the interim or permanently in future, would it include like countries that are facing the embargo, like Russia and stuff, or would they still be left out?
We look from the West's point of view, that's Europe and the US, etc. There are certain embargoes on certain countries, Iraq, Syria, Russia, China, etc. And there are others around the globe, but we have affiliates in over 200 countries, so they may well include those countries. So that the issue is, and Red pointed this out earlier on, it's not just being able to take money in, it's being able to pay it out. If you can't do both for one country, just think if it were India, for example. Let's say, for example, India was the country that we couldn't make payments to. Could take money in, but we couldn't make payments out to them. Just think what chaos that would cause, because the vast majority of the current affiliate and customer base is Indian based. That would cause chaos. And that's one of the largest markets for the company. So you have to make sure, if you think about it, we're in the Middle East in a big way. So we're already in Egypt, we're already in Dubai, or in the UAE, I beg your pardon. Yeah, and it's expanding from there. So you're going to get the likes of Saudi, Yemen, Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, and all of these others, Iraq, Iran, etc., all into the same system, because they're all, if you like, a little bit part of the GCC, the League of Arab Nations, the group that are part of that area. So it is imperative to make sure that a company can pay out as well as take in. And if one of those affiliates is in a country that has an embargo, you have to find a way around it. You have to make sure that they can still get paid. So if as we've mentioned with Russia, MasterCard and Visa are banned in Russia right now. Now that may change in the future, but right now you can't use Visa and MasterCard in Russia. They won't accept it. Won't take payments, won't allow it. So what's the point of putting money onto a card and sending it to a Russian that can't then use it? That doesn't make sense either. So you have to find a way of being able to do it. So the logistics of this alone is incredible. And Jeffrey's mentioned the process that you have to go through to get to that point. But once then you've got another stumbling block, another stumbling block, another stumbling block. So it's very difficult to be able to do that. That's why I said what Red said, the easiest and simplest method right now to provide our own system is to have one white label that does everything and has all the banking facilities and licensing to be able to send money out to those countries and people within those countries. Because look, it's not their fault that there's a problem. Governments don't like things that go on, and they stop it in the hope that it's going to create havoc. Well, it didn't to Russia. So look, you just have to make sure that the system is in place.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Andy. So Red, earlier on you made us understand that one of the advantages of owning our own system is we're going to like save money. So I was just wondering too, I know saving money because those who own this, they do the services for pay, right? So is it possible though that we too can monetize on this same?
Absolutely. Ash has already said I mean, he mentioned this, whether it was before Christmas, I believe, when he was talking a little bit about cards and merchant banking within, you know, when he was talking through ideas, chatting, he was saying that we will be able to monetize that part of what it is. What does this mean? Say, for instance, I mean, we use Revolut card in our family. Why? Because it went back to the days sort of 8-9 years ago when our youngest daughter was traveling across the globe, and in those days it was one of the only charge cards that was international for the areas that she was in, and as long as you were one of the other people, she had a card, we had a card, my other daughter had a card. If you had a card on Revolut, you could then transfer money instantly directly to their account, and then they could spend the money. This is exactly what's going to happen with OWallet and the card systems and the merchanting and all the rest of it, is that you will be literally the middleman saying to a friend of yours, how would you like to be able to use a charge card with 0 fees or very low fees compared to what they're using on Revolut or Monzo or any other charge cards, because they do charge. They have a higher rate of exchange rates and taking money out of ATMs or using all the rest of it. They'll save money, but you make a very small percentage on everything that they use that card for. Now, that starts blowing my mind, that in your circle of people that you know, if you gave them a card and say this is international across the globe, it's going to save you an absolute ruck of money when you are abroad, because it automatically transfers into local currency. You don't have to take cash out or go to money exchange to be able to spend it. As long as it's got the Visa, MasterCard or whatever symbol on there, boom, you're good to go. You top it up with whatever amount of money you want, and you go and use it. Every time they spend money, if they have purchased that card through you, which by the way is probably going to be free, by the way, to them, so you are giving it to them for free, but in return, when they pay for something, you get a little bit of that money that they've spent. If it's $20, you might get, I don't know, 50 cents, right, off $20. I don't know, I'm guessing, or even 10 cents off $20. It doesn't really matter, but that soon adds up. Can you imagine if you're in a scenario that you've actually managed to get 100, 200, 1,000 people on board, all through giving them a card? They've signed up, they're on there, they're using it, lots and lots of $20 every day, and you're getting 10 cents. Thank you very much. And this is going to be possible, Comfort. He's already said this is what he's looking for us, that we will be able to do. It will be free for us because we are already affiliates, we're already founders, whatever it may be. Anybody else, it's free for the card, but we, because it's come through us, get a little bit of the slice of the cake. Fantastic. Back to you.
Wow, thank you. That sounds like music to my ears. I don't know about the others. Thank you, Red. And this time around, I just want to give you the last round to make your last remarks. So, Jeffrey, you think about those who are trying to withdraw for whatever reason. Think about those who are still standing on the fence. Consider all of those, and whatever you have to say, I give you enough time to do that. Just be free. Just it's a last remark.
You know, I'd probably just very, very simply, if we're talking about the folks that are undecided or just, you know, caught up or overwhelmed, or for whatever reason they aren't doing anything positive for themselves here. You know, if I talk to the audience that isn't a member, then I just go to the ecosystem, you know, get a link from somebody and go check us out. There's free products back there that you can use. This isn't rocket science, and they're great products. Just Just understand though that when we do open commercially and the free products go commercial in a big way, they're going to have features and functionality unlocked in them that we're not currently using right now. You know, for those members that are kind of sitting on the fence, or maybe you're frustrated, see if you can just breathe easy and get the big picture, because we're heading down that road. We're going there. I mean, you know, if you take all the information that we just talked about, take everything that Red put into that nice ball about payment processing, and take everything that Andy talked about with the master merchants and where we're going and longevity and what's going. These things are happening right now. No amount of worry is gonna help you to be any better today than you are tomorrow. Now, as we move forward, and we are moving forward, this is a process that we probably couldn't stop it if we wanted to. But as we move forward and get closer and closer, and like you had said earlier, Red, I believe, I mean, if nothing else, just based on 10-day extensions, we are really, really, really close to really crossing that threshold and activity moving forward in a very fast way. But we want to make sure that it's done right. So just make sure that you've got the right mindset and you're in it for the long game. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Jeffrey. Right mindset is the way to go. So over to you, Andy.
I was just thinking about what Red was saying about the cards and this tiny fraction of an amount that we could get as a commission. And because I know of a Qatari family, the father loads the cards up for the kids and his wife with 5 million each every month. Yeah, every month. And he has 20 million put on his card. It's just, obviously it's a different world entirely to what we know, but you go,
that sounds
can
like
you
punishment.
spend that? Can you really spend that? And obviously they do. So it's just beyond belief. But the beauty of it is that we know the system is coming, and knowing what's going on from what they've done so far, you just know it's going to be the right system that they put in place. And it will work perfectly once it's sorted. In the meantime, we've got to put up with a third party. We all know that. And the only reason, I think, for the delay is simply because of this payment system, making sure that payments can be made. Because if you can't have that, what's the point in taking customers on? You can't simply, have payments coming in that don't go anywhere, or payments going out in commissions that don't go anywhere because the merchant's not set up to deal with it. So I know there are issues with that, but it's being worked on as we speak. And I'm sure it's only a matter of, days for this to be rectified in the manner that we all need to have happen, so that it can then just go poof as we expect it to do.
All right, thank you.
Like that. Oof. I like that.
Over to you, Reg, the last one.
Thank you very much. Great words by everyone today. I've really enjoyed this topic. I think it's been on point. I think it's really, it's what everyone wants to know about, isn't it, at the moment? And, I fully understand people's anxiety, frustrations at the moment. There's nothing worse than logging into your ecosystem, and if you are one of the lucky ones that see commissions in your OWallet sat there and you've requested a withdrawal and it's not happening for you, and times are hard for a lot of us, aren't they? And you want to know when's it going to hit my account. Of course, this is a natural thing. All I can say to all of you is that it will happen, and once it gets started again, then this is going to be a little blip, distant memory in your journey of OnPassive. It really, really is. No one's going anywhere. No one's running off with your money. What you see there, you're going to get. Okay. I know it's hard to say, just relax, just chill, and everything's going to be all right. What do we know? I can hear people saying, what do you know, Red? You're right. What do I know? I believe that the longer this goes on, the more confident I am in this business. Why? Because I know what they're trying to achieve. And it is no mean feat what they are trying to achieve. And this is why I love this company, because through any adversity, through any walls that are put in front of them, they always find a way around it. So feel safe in the knowledge, guys, that there is going to be a solution to this. You are going to get your money. I just can't tell you when, but you're going to get it. So that's the main thing. Back to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, Andy, Jeffrey, and Brett, for another wonderful session this evening. Everybody actually enjoyed it, and we appreciate you all for your dedicated service to our business. And let's end on this note with a beautiful contribution from Anne McLemore, who says, Andy, leave me alone. I just want to get this. So Anne says, anything worthwhile is worth waiting for. Just keep the faith, guys. It's a done deal. It's a done deal, no doubt. Thank you, guys. Love you much, and see you really soon. Bye.